Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 18th chapter, text number 6. Yasminnahaniyarjeva Bhagavan utsasarjagam Tadaivehanuvrattosa Adharma Prabhava Kalihi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The very day and moment the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, left this earth, the personality of Kali, who promotes all kinds of irreligious activities, came into this world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead and His holy name, qualities, etc. are all identical. The personality of Kali was not able to enter the jurisdiction of the earth due to the presence of the personality of Godhead. And similarly, if there is an arrangement for the constant chanting of the holy names, qualities, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no chance at all for the personality of Kali to enter. That is the technique of driving away the personality of Kali from the world. In modernized human society, there are great advancements of material science, and they have invented the radio to distribute sound in the air. So instead of vibrating some nuisance sound for sense enjoyment, if the state arranges to distribute transcendental sound by resounding the holy name, fame and activities of the Lord, as they are authorized in the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, then a favorable condition will be created. The principles of religion in the world will be re-established, and thus the executive heads who are so anxious to drive away corruption from the world will be successful. Nothing is bad if properly used for the service of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Hare Krishna. The city was Tacoma in US. How many of you have heard of this city? Tacoma. So it is in Washington, US. So this place became famous overnight because of one particular incident which happened in November 1940. There was a bridge called Tacoma Narrows Bridge. So it was the third longest suspension bridge in the world at that point in time. So what happened to this bridge was, it actually collapsed. Because of that, the city became very famous overnight. Now, how did it collapse? Did somebody make that event, that accident to happen, or somebody bombed it? It was all during war times and all that. But no, nothing. It happened because of one physics principle called resonance. Now, what is this resonance? We must have somebody who is from engineering background, physics background, they all know, just a quick brush up. Now, what is resonance? Resonance means, suppose the object is there, this particular object has its natural frequency. The atoms, molecules in this have certain natural frequency with which, suppose somebody hits it. Actually, if you can see, we had that tuning fork experiment, right? Tuning fork, somebody hits, and it will vibrate these many oscillations or vibrations per second. That is frequency. So every object has got that frequency, natural frequency. Now when some other object is brought near to that particular object, if the frequency is closer to the natural frequency of object A, or it's exactly equal, then there is a concept of resonance. The amplitude gets added up and it will start vibrating even more for a longer duration. Now, if in other words, the opposite of resonance is echo. There are different peaks that amplitudes, they try to nullify each other. So quickly the resonance effect comes down. So in other words, echo, in other words, it becomes a noise. So now this sound vibration, it is so powerful. That day what happened on that particular fateful day, the natural frequency of this bridge, overall bridge, and the materials which were used to construct this bridge, that the natural frequency was matching with the frequency in which the wind was blowing, the air was happening. And then somehow in those days also, they had shooted it, video recorded, and because the bridge started oscillating. Usually also sometimes it used to oscillate, but This was the last oscillation of that particular bridge. So it violated, the bridge started oscillating because of these vibrations, the natural frequency mixing with the frequency of the wind. It started swinging, just like we have seen the swing, right? So it goes to and fro, pendulum clock. Started swinging, and ultimately the suspension, the cords, they could not hold anymore, and the whole bridge collapsed. Few people died and all that. That is one of the classic case studies. Even till history, such on a large scale things have not happened. So this is the effect of the vibration, the resonance effect. So this particular thing, man has some plans, okay, they constructed some bridge. But now what happened? Because of some XYZ reason, it got collapsed. So like this, so many times in day-to-day our lives, we have so many plans, we want to be happy, we want to be, conceiving our plans, goals in life, etc. But sometimes inadvertently we end up in problems, isn't it? So the Srimad Bhagavatam not only gives solutions to day-to-day problems, it gives problems to the ultimate, it gives solutions to the ultimate problems of life, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So it teaches, Srimad Bhagavatam teaches the art of living also and art of leaving also. L-E-A-V-I-N-G, art of dying. So how we are in this material world, how we should conduct our lives, how to live happily, how to live peacefully, that also Bhagavatam teaches. And what happens at the time of death, what should be our consciousness, what should be our activity, actions, subtle and gross actions, which determines our next life. So afterlife also, there is an education, this Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us. So it's a very important literature, and it is even more important because it is known as Amala Purana. There is no material concepts described in this. Now somebody may say, now how Bhagavatam offers solution to bridge, how it collapsed, what was the exact frequency, is there a mention in Bhagavatam? No. For that actually the analogy is, Prabhupada says, suppose there is a blind man. Now suppose he is not fully blind, he can see, but only with the help of spectacles. Without spectacles, he cannot see anything. Now, he is there in his house. At night, the power goes off. Now, he wants to get up and quickly take some medicine. He is not wearing glasses while sleeping. So, now it's completely pitch dark. So, imagine, in that situation, what is the best help for him? Best help is, somebody comes and gives glass, okay, but he's staying alone, nobody else is there. So, somebody switches on the light. Then what happens? He can actually wear his glass, then he knows where the medicine is, everything further he can do. So the first solution is on a broader scale. Now specific details, there are so many specific details also for day-to-day problems, how to deal with such situations in Srimad Bhagavatam with live examples. But even if because of our imperfect senses, we are not able to perceive those specific instructions, on a broader scale, definitely we can perceive. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, it is called Puranarko Adhunoditaha. Just like torchlight, Arka means sun god. Just like when sun rises, naturally, immediately the darkness vanishes, dissipates. There is no question of darkness being present when sun is present. That is, so this Puranarko Adhunodita. So actually the sages asked the question, one of the questions, when Parikshit Maharaj was asking these questions from Shukadeva Goswami. We've seen the portrait here. So Shukadeva Goswami is the teacher, he's answering, and Parikshit Maharaj is actually putting questions. And then in that sages, Suta Goswami was also there. And later on the sages of Naimisharanya hear from Suta Goswami. So this is disciplic succession, Guru, Shishya, Parampara. So the knowledge that is being given, that has been very systematically handed over from time to time, generations. So now, this particular analogy that, when Krishna actually also left this planet, when Krishna left, what happened to Dharma, Jnana, everything? Because when Krishna comes, he comes with his own entourage. Then when he goes, everything also. That's how we saw that how Kali-yuga penetrated the moment Krishna left this planet, Earth. So now when Krishna went away, he is not irresponsibly just going away. He has to make some arrangement, right? So he gave this Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is setting the scene. So Srimad Bhagavatam has got 12 cantos. And in the 12 cantos, we are in the first canto, which is considered to be lotus feet of the Lord. So systematically, Lord has given this Vedic literature, how systematically we should study, And with this literature, we can get the torchlight of guidance, knowledge. This is like a manual. Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam are like manuals for us to conduct our lives in this world. For this life as well as in the next, betterment of the next. Just like people invest for future, right? Future life should be good. So that is very short-sighted, only till this body is there. So what are we doing for the soul? We have to invest something for the soul also. So soul is eternal, nityo shashvatam. So it's ever existing. So once it gives up this particular body, takes up another body. So what are we doing to secure soul's future? So that is what actually knowledge, that is all very systematically given in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So we saw Lord also departed after the battle of Kurukshetra, because Yudhishthira Maharaj was enthroned as the emperor of the entire world, and peacefully he was ruling with proper law and order. Now after that, because mostly the purpose of King's advent, the Lord Krishna's advent was achieved, that he destroyed unnecessary Kshatriya dynasties, in that war many people died, and only with kings with proper behavior who followed Vedic instructions, they were reinstated. And then after that, Pandavas also, because since Lord Krishna left, Pandavas also left. So then Parikshit Maharaj was enthroned as the emperor of the entire world. And then when he was enthroned as the emperor of the entire world, he was actually touring his kingdom. Now what was his kingdom? His kingdom was entire world. So it was a very big responsibility that he had to make sure that as per the orders of Krishna and as per the great values set by his predecessors, his uncles, parent, father and Arjuna, all the Pandavas, he had to carry forward that legacy. He had very great responsibility. So now, but Kali had already entered. We read in few chapters, and before that, how moment Krishna leaves this planet in his physical form, Kali had already entered. But no problem, Kali had entered, but he was not able to spread his influence. Just like in a house, some robber comes, XYZ reason. If he comes, no problem, let him stay. But if he starts doing his nefarious activities, then that is the problem, right? So Kali was there in the world, the moment Krishna disappeared, no problem. But because Parikshit Maharaj was so good as Krishna in terms of administration, in terms of his purity, so he was conducting such a way that Kali could not spread his influence. So actually Kali, personified Kali, was actually targeting Parikshit Maharaj continuously. Now how to get an entry into this material world to spread his nefarious activities. So then when Kali was looking for that opportunity, when Parikshit Maharaj also was touring, he comes across this Kali. Although he was dressed as a king, but his activities clearly indicated that he was the sin personified. So Parikshit Maharaj was so qualified that he could see Kali in person. But we may not be so qualified to see Kali in person, but definitely by the mercy and direction of the guidance of Srila Prabhupada, pure devotee, who is Nitya Siddha Mahabhagavata, we can see Kali through the influence, the effects. Just like that example of a bridge, nobody could see how the resonance effect took place, what was the frequency, nobody could see through bare eyes, but the effect was very evident. So the cause and effect is very, very important. Now going to the cause, somebody may understand only effect, so we have to go to the cause. So as much as possible. So to know the cause is a sign of intelligence. So now, when Parikshit Maharaj, gave shelter, because anybody who surrenders to a pure devotee, anybody who surrenders to a Kshatriya king, he is bound to give protection. So he gives, last few verses we saw how he actually gives shelter to the personified Kali in these 4 places. What are those four places? First is where intoxication happens, when meat eating is happening, where illicit sex is happening and gambling is happening. So these are the 4 places. And then Kali became very happy. He started to go around, but he could not find a place where these things are happening during the regime, the rule of Parikshit Maharaj. So then he comes back and he asks another one place. Give me one more place, because I see no such things happening in your country, in the entire world. You're the emperor of the world. And then Kali also gives, because he's requesting, he has surrendered to Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj gives, okay, go and stay in the excess gold where, that is not being used for in Krishna's service. where it is not put for proper use, just it is kept, as a hoarding. And then all these 4 things also follow when such unnecessary hoarding is done. So then that's how actually Parikshit Maharaj grants 5 places, and then Kali also leaves that place. So now, for example, Prabhupada is mentioning in today's purport, and in today's verse especially, this is entitled, the chapter is entitled Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy. Then eventually we see that how Parikshit Maharaj actually also gets cursed, because Kali enters through that Brahmana boy, Shringi, and somehow situation is created, and again it was a divine will of the Lord, so that this Bhagavatam could be spoken for generations to come, to for the benefit of entire humanity. So then few verses before we saw that yes, after leaving all his associates, the king surrendered himself as a disciple of the son of Vyasa, Shukadeva Goswami, and thus he was able to understand the actual position of the personality of Godhead. So now Parikshit Maharaj knew that this is going to happen, but even after knowing that he was cursed by a boy, he, instead of retaliating against that Brahmana boy, what he did, he thought it is better to act for my future life. What I should do, what should be my activity to ensure that my soul is taken care properly. So that was the thing. And previous verse it was said that as long as the great powerful son of Abhimanyu remains the emperor of the world, there is no chance that the personality of Kali will flourish. So until Parikshit Maharaj was there, Kali could not spread his influence. So now he has to set something so that even in his absence, this Kali's influence is minimized as much as possible. So then in today's verse it is said that Prabhupada is again recapitulating, the very day and moment the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, left this earth, the personality of Kali, who promotes all kinds of irreligious activities, came into this world. So Prabhupada is again saying that although Krishna left, Kali entered, but actually when Parikshit Maharaj got cursed, it became very evident that now Kali is going to spread his influence. So now what is the solution? Prabhupada is giving solution in the purport. The personality of Godhead and his holy name, qualities, etc. are all identical. The personality of Kali was not able to enter the jurisdiction of the earth due to the presence of the personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada is saying, although Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is not in the physical form, but because we have Lord's holy name, the same effect can be obtained. The same effect as Lord was there personally present. If his holy names are chanted, then what happens? Kali cannot spread his influence. Prabhupada also mentions that yes, if there is an arrangement for the constant chanting of the holy names, qualities, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no chance at all for the personality of Kali to enter. That is the technique of driving away the personality of Kali from the world. So Prabhupada is very clearly, with full faith, he is actually mentioning that if the government takes this particular aspect of spreading Krishna's holy names, spreading Krishna's pastimes, because the sound vibration related to Krishna, about Krishna, and words of Krishna, they are all actually non-different from Krishna. That is why Krishna is known as absolute person. Absolute person means there is no difference whether he is physically present or in his name or in his activities, somebody who can connect to that particular vibration, sound vibration, that particular frequency, then one can save from Kali's influence. So Prabhupada mentions that how irreligious activities actually are significance, are the effects of Kali, isn't it? Irreligious activities. Now just we can do a small experiment. Now when we heard, okay, what are Kali's activities, Kali's influences, broadly categorized into 4 things what we discussed. What was the first was meat eating. Meat eating, is it? So we can just visualize. So what are these things? Okay, people, somebody is eating meat, how is their behavior? What is their character? What kind of, the kind of obnoxious thing, before meat eating, from where that meat came, what happened for a moment. And then intoxication, people who are drinking liquor, and they already intoxicated, they are in illusion, they are actually forgetting even more their own self. Their bodily concept of life is getting more and more impressed upon when somebody gets intoxicated. And then gambling. So there are also, casinos, lot of places, fights happen, people, try to harm, sometimes they kill. There is no actually situation where person can be peaceful in these kind of situations. So now this has got, although we just discussed, although we just said in terms of words, so the mind has the ability to perceive, conceive, picturize in our minds. So it has got an effect. So that means, that is why Prabhupada says sound vibration. So there is two concepts. One is physical presence, somebody who is physically present, and one more is presence of through sound. So Prabhupada says in his own example that very few times he met his own guru, 4 or 5 times. But he was never separated from his guru because it was spiritual association, spiritual presence, the vibrational presence Prabhupada was always feeling from his guru. So similarly, matter also has got to some extent to create this aspect. So now, on the other hand, we can just say these words, cows. There are a lot of cows. There are a lot of cows with calves, and there are a lot of green grass, a lot of greenery, trees, very lushful green trees are there, and then very crystal clear river, lakes, lotus flowers are there. And how do we feel? We feel naturally, the image of these words are actually getting converted. It is getting converted into the vibrations. So now, to add some more things to this, Krishna is present, Krishna is playing flute, and cows are actually listening so nicely. And calves, Krishna is calling specific names of particular calf, cow, and then he's playing very beautifully, very melodious flute vibration, and that vibration is attracting chara, achara, moving, non-moving things. So all these things also have got some kind of effect, isn't it? We can feel what earlier we saw, the 4 activities which Kali spreads his influence, and vis-a-vis with this particular activities, wherein we can clearly see that sound has got so much of potency. The sound vibrations have so much potency. That is why Prabhupada is saying today's purport that if government takes up this task, because they are supposed to be Kshatriyas, they have taken the position of kings, and earlier olden days kings used to rule their subject, they have to administer everything very perfectly. The government is supposed to do that. Now what if government is not able to do that? So then it becomes our individual responsibility. So the sound vibrations are very, very powerful, which Kali has captured. So sometimes we say, okay, good radio stations, sometimes they start off with Venkatesha Suprabhata, okay, nice, good, some bhajans, devotional songs. But slowly after a few, 1 or 2 songs, they start putting all kinds of songs. So it has got its own vibration. So these sound vibrations actually are very powerful. There is a science behind that. There are a lot of studies being made now. Right from the child in the mother's womb, the mother, what kind of music she listens to has a tremendous effect on the baby getting birth. So now, if right from childhood, if the baby is constantly exposed to, nuisance music, Prabhupada uses that word, vibrating some nuisance sound for sense enjoyment. So if continuously the mind body system of the jiva is exposed to this kind of passionate, ignorant, this kind of music, then naturally the mind, the false ego, the intelligence, the subtle body also actually forms according to that particular thing. So Krishna, these are all very powerful material laws. So that is why Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, in the 7th chapter, it's the title of the 7th chapter is Knowing the Absolute. So we can know the Absolute by doing what? Krishna is giving hint, how to analyze. So 7.4, he says that Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kam Mano Buddhurevacha Ahankara Itiyame Binna Prakriti Rashtada. So 8 material elements he is describing, Krishna is telling. So what are those? Bhumi means earth, Apa water, Analaha fire, Vayu means air, Kam is ether, the sky, the space. Then these are the 5 gross elements. And subtle elements are Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, mind, intelligence, false ego. So these are 8 things Krishna is giving hint here. And next verse he says, 7.5, that Another Prakriti is there. What is that Prakriti? That is actually spiritual. That is the living beings who are actually stuck in this material world. The soul is covered by 23 elements. And then in 7.8, Rasovam Apsu Kauntaya. So one can know the absolute, realize God just by drinking water. So Prabhupada also says that just by drinking water, if you think if this is a taste of Krishna, one can become Krishna conscious. Rasovam Apsu Kauntaya Prabhashmi Shashi Suryayo. Just by seeing the light. This light is coming from originally from Krishna. The spiritual source of light is Krishna. And then Shabdakke Paurushanashu. There also the Shabda, the sound, whatever sounds, that is actually originally spiritual sound, but it is in this world it is getting it is getting distorted. It is having different vibration. So even Vedanta Sutra, the last verse, the Vedanta Sutra concludes with this particular state, Anavritti tu Shabdat. So with Shabda we can get liberated. Avritti means we are covered now. We are covered with all these gross elements, subtle elements, totaling 23. 24th is the 24th item is the soul, and 25th is the Paramatma, subtle and subtle. So we are covered with gross also. This body is made up of gross, and we have subtle body, which is mind, intelligence, false ego. So this avritti, this covering can be removed, and absolute truth can be realized by Shabda, by the sound vibration. The vibrational effect is so much. Anavritti tu Shabdat, the last verse of the 4th chapter, 4.22, Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra, which starts with the very first verse is Athatu Brahma Jignasa. So it gives the starting, and in between the process and the ultimate process is realization through Shabda. Anavritti tu Shabdat. So, and the same thing, now that is why it is very, very important that what falls into our ears continuously. So we have indriyas, we have eyes, ears. Now somebody may say, yes, more than ears, sometimes the visuals also will trigger some things. Suppose somebody, when I see anger could be generated, when I see somebody, love may be generated. So different aspects are there. So similarly, tongue also, when I put something, what happens? Some kind of vibrational effect, which is there in our past memories. So mind, manas, buddhi, ahankara, all total homogeneous mixture put together is the subtle body which the soul is carrying life after life. Even after death, death is actually giving up of the gross body. But the subtle body with all these impressions, with all these samskaras or vasanas, the soul is actually carrying. So when these trigger points are there, moment this gets triggered, the old vasanas are generated. So now that is why all our indriyas, what we have is with us, we should be very careful what inputs we are giving, because this some input is there, just like a PC, you give some input, it interprets and gives some output. So this system also is yantra, it's like that whatever inputs we give and whatever existing based on past experiences or at the present free will based on the three modes of material nature, based on Kali's activities, influences, it interprets, gives the output. So among all that, so if somebody says, okay, eyes is very, very powerful just by seeing some visuals, okay, if I see Krishna's photo, immediately I can remember Krishna. If I see something else, immediately that triggers that. So, but eyes, at least we can say, okay, out of 24 hours, maybe somebody sleeps for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 hours. So that many hours, at least eyes are closed, so he's safe. So no inputs are coming, material inputs are given. Now somebody eating also, okay, tongue now actually you cannot go on eating for 24 hours. How many hours? Maximum few hours or few minutes only in a day we eat. But what is that one thing that is always open? The ears are always open. So that is why Shabda is given so much importance. Shravanam is the very first item, even in Bhakti Yoga, even in devotional process. So the things which we hear, the sound vibration, it is all getting fed into our system, and that is forming new chit, this manas, buddhi, ahankara, the total, matter, what the soul is covered with, subtle matter. So that is forming. And it is changing old things and it's forming new things. So both things are happening. So it is very, very important that these sound vibrations, what kind of sound vibrations we hear and we put into our systems. So, So now in this particular 7.4th verse, if you see, Krishna is categorizing two things. So he's telling gross and subtle, both he is giving, isn't it? So gross, earth is gross, and subtle is air, ether, sky. So that he is giving. And then if you divide, if you categorize now into four things, suppose gross material, gross spiritual, subtle material and subtle spiritual. So what are these things? So now gross material, we know it's earth, regular earth, this earth. So that earth is gross, we can feel. Gross material is gross material sound vibrations. So whatever, those four activities which are materialistic, which are binding more, so that are actually four gross subtle words. And then spiritual, gross spiritual is what? We have holy dhams, like Vrindavan Dham, we have Ayodhya Dham now, around Lord Ram's temple is coming. So why dhams are so important? Because Lord has chosen them. He has not randomly chosen. He has chosen means that the place has got very special qualities. It has acquired certain vibrations, certain spiritual potencies that personally Lord had walked around those places. It has special significance. So these are spiritual gross, like we have deities, spiritual gross objects. And spiritual subtle. So the fourth category is spiritual subtle. Spiritual subtle is what? These are actually mantras. So mantra means, man means mind, trayate iti mantra. So one, that the subtle sound which helps us to control and direct our minds, that is mantra. So now mantras also can be now material mantra or spiritual mantra. Like for example, Prabhupada gives example, in olden days there were this technique of whenever there used to be some snake bite incidents, there were experts who could do this job. People used to be taken to them immediately, and they'll put some plants, herbs, some medicinal herbs, and more importantly they'll chant some mantras, and then immediately the consciousness is revived. So he chants. Now the person is unconscious. How he is awakened? He is awakened, he chants in the ear of that particular person who was actually unconscious. He was actually materially sleeping. So his ears are active. Now somebody may say, if somebody is deaf, what will happen? He cannot achieve liberation. Anavritti tu shabdat is not applicable for him. The coverings will remain. Yes, but he may not be able to hear the material aspect of the sound, but the vibrations are felt. That is why even some people who are in coma, all their actually brain is not functioning, but still the vibrations actually reach. So it's a great sign. So now these mantras, there are a lot of powerful material mantras like this. And of course we know this curse also, how the title of this chapter itself is Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy. A small boy could curse such a big emperor who was the emperor of the whole world, not some small state, small country, small portion, entire world. Such a big personality, on top of that pure devotee, he could actually had this influence. He was in some place and king was in some other place, and then this boy, just by using certain mantras, the sound actually reaches, the sound vibration. That is why it is not materially heard by Parikshit. The child could not shout so much of long distance. But the effect, the sound vibration, that actually reached Parikshit Maharaj, and in 7 days he was supposed to die. And similarly Brahmastras also, we had seen in Mahabharata, and so many times the Brahmastra was so powerful that it could be directed to a specific target, and how much destruction it can do, that also the expert mantra chanter had full control. Prabhupada says, not like today's bomb, you drop and you have no control how much damage it will do. So whom it kills, in this range, whoever comes, it will all kill everybody. Brahmastra was not like that. So even materially, modern scientists and so-called intelligent people are so dumb when compared to the ancient that knowledge and technology techniques we had. So like this, these are all material mantras. Now, of course, the mantras, again based on the usage, it becomes either material or spiritual. Suppose the snake has bitten some devotee of the Lord. If the devotee is saved, then that is again proper usage, spiritual application. So, but there are direct mantras, indirect mantras, which have the different effects. But there are spiritual mantras, like for example, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this mantra, when it is chanted, it is actually completely spiritual mantra. Like for example, some mantras are there, Loka, Samasta, Sukhino Bhavantu, it's good. Loka, it's directing to what? Because we saw every word has got a particular effect. It has that image that creates in our mind-body system, in our chit, in our consciousness. So now what does this mantra, for example, Loka, okay, earth, there are so many earths, which earth? Okay, Samasta, so all the earths, all the planets, all the universes. Sukhina means, okay, to be happy, should be good, should do good for everybody, Bhavantu should happen. So it's good, but it is actually indirect. Whereas this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, this 16-word Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna Rama, they are actually direct addressed to the supreme powerful, the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, Rama and Krishna. So only Krishna and Krishna's energy. Radharani is being addressed at internal energy, Hare. Now if somebody is using it for material purpose, then it is actually addressing to the material energy. So there is nothing beyond Krishna and Krishna's energies. There is nothing except Krishna and Krishna's energy. So this mantra is addressing to complete creation. So it is got the most powerful sound vibration effect, materially, spiritually. So the spiritual effect, that is why on the mind, our consciousness, our chit is so great that, our scientists, spiritual scientists, the sages, the Vaishnava Acharyas, they have told this Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. So this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the source, the original, it is originating from where? It is from the farthest planet. Not of this material world, material creation, but the farthest planet of the spiritual world also, topmost planet. So from there, how sound can travel? Sound vibration. It's spiritual sound. So now for material sound to travel, you need have air. So that is why Prabhupada is saying that in the modernized human society, there are great advancements of material science, and they have invented the radio to distribute sound in the air. So you need to have sound, you need to have air, air molecules for the sound to travel. And now if something is spiritual, it doesn't require these material modes. So because even scientists, for so many centuries, it was thought that the air is not there fully in the outer space and all. So there could not be any electromagnetic radiation. There could not be any waves transmitted in space because there is no air. But actually, they have forgotten, Krishna has given already the hint, the ether, the sky is there. So the ether, the source of ether is the spiritual sound. So from sound comes the sky, ether, and ether actually causes air. And air generates fire. From fire, the water comes, and from the water, earth comes. So everything is actually very clearly mentioned. So now when we chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, what is happening is it's completely spiritual sound. One is, yes, then later on we know that how, scientists found out, even without the air, even how sunlight is traveling, it's a kind of electromagnetic radiation. It is traveling such a long distance. And even later on, now scientists have discovered that from so many light years distance, from different universes, light is traveling. So even if there is no air, actually the molecules, they have the potency to transfer the vibrations. So this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, although it is in Goloka Vrindavana, it is traveling, because now sometimes we have in our experience when some VIP comes, he does not have to go through the regular checks, right? No security will check him. All security are removed for him. He can directly enter. There is no. But for a common man, for a material man, so there are so many checkings happening. So similarly, this rough analogy, when the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is chanted, but is actually transmitted from the spiritual world. Golokera Premadama Harinama Sankirtana. So just like we have this example, now we have small radios. Suppose nowadays mobile, FM, all these devices are there. So they are actually working as receivers. But actual sound is being transmitted from the tower of that particular radio station. Just like even TV. Prabhupada using radios because 1970s the radio, that technology was one of the technology, and TVs was very rare, and then mobile was in even rarest or even was not there. So radio, this particular perfect example how Prabhupada is used. So every word of Prabhupada is empowered, because actually just like Hare Krishna Mahamantra is invested with the potency. Krishna is Abhijna Swarat. He can decide in which word, in which context, in which situation I can invest this energy. So it is his wish, his will, sweet will. So he has invested this energy in his Hare Krishna Mahamantra and in the words of the pure devotees, Vaishnavacharyas. So that is why now when that sound vibration is all the way traveling from Goloka Vrindavana transmitter, now we have to receive. Receive means we have to generate on our tongues and then actually in the same spiritual vibration in that particular frequency, and then what happens? That resonance effect we can feel. So that is why if properly it is done, so that resonance effect, what in that bridge example we saw, so when two frequencies are matching, and then we could see such a great effect. Although the effect in the material world was not good, the ultimately bridge got collapsed. But spiritually the application is, actually this is the secret. When we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra with our mind, body, material tongue, which is actually a signal, we are trying to tune into that frequency. Just like in the radio also, there are so many continuous bands of frequencies. When we tune into the exact frequency with which the transmitter is transmitting, that particular frequency, there will be no noises. Little you go far, then some noise started getting added. And when exactly at that frequency we are tuning, then there is no distortion. That is actually symptoms, the ecstasies which authorized Ashta Sattvika Vikara, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radharani, all the pure devotees of the Lord, they exhibited. So now, so that is why Hare Krishna Mahamantra is called Aprakrita. It is not material sound. So there are Prakrita material sounds and then Aprakrita material sounds, spiritual sounds. So these are the secret channels that are available for us, through which we can tune ourselves, and by doing this what happens? Yaya Atma Suprasidati. The soul becomes very, very happy, blissful. So whatever may be the problems, all the problems, solutions, actually it comes from the spiritual world. The Prabhupada also gives example, sometimes this Big Bang theory is copied partially from this Vedic literature. Actually the sound is coming from there. So now these the modern scientists, they say, there was somebody who was arguing that if I give you water, if I give cement, if I give all the materials and put a bomb in that, whether apartment will be ready, constructed. So when it explodes, construction won't come. When it explodes, destruction comes, isn't it? So, but partial the truth is that sound vibration which is emanated from the spiritual world, that is actually being heard in the material world, but it is up to our receptor, what kind of receptor, what kind of yantra, body, mind body system we have, so that we can receive it properly. If we tune in, so by following the instructions of proper authorities, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, if we get these instructions, then we will be able to not only theoretically understand, actually we can realize also. So that sound vibration, when spiritual sound vibration, when it enters through our ears, we should hear it attentively, and when it touches our soul, because the sound is not stopped because sound is a completely spiritual sound. It is not stopped by my mind, intelligence, false ego, although it is material. So it directly touches the soul. And when it touches the soul, what happens? Soul is it's actually establishing the communication with the supreme spiritual sound in Goloka Vrindavana. So then, while it is reflecting back, it is actually purifying this chitta also. Just like we have done that experiment, litmus test experiment. Some acid and base, they all have color. But when it is mixed, we get pure water as one of the byproducts. So that water is very crystal clear. So by continuously having this channel established with the spiritual world, it's like a radio station, Prabhupada is telling. So instead of having this material connection, the sound vibration, if we can have the spiritual connection with the spiritual world, through this sound vibration, spiritual sound vibration, especially the pastimes of the Lord, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, words of the Lord like Bhagavad Gita, and then Bhagavatam, which is actually pastimes of the Lord, pastimes of pure devotees of the Lord. So all these are actually these frequencies, spatial vibrations, which help us to connect to that perfect spiritual sound vibration. So by doing that, what happens? E Atma Suprasidati. The soul becomes very happy, and it is actually gets connected to the constitutional, its original constitutional position. So this is one of the things Prabhupada is stressing. And now, soul, because this innate nature is there, it tries to contact with different material objects in this material world, be it persons, situations, objects. So, but that frequency is completely different. So that is why the soul ends up in frustration. Whereas the origin, because everything has come from the spiritual world, we are part and parcel of Krishna. And when we, in this particular frequency, we try our connection, we establish our connection, then actually that effect will get completely, we will be in bliss. So Prabhupada is stressing that. And very interestingly, Prabhupada says there are so many, the factors which help this resonance. Now suppose that this resonance keeps on increasing. So there are so many other elements which, if it gets added, the effect is even more. That is why Sankirtan Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's whole purpose was to establish Sankirtan Dharma. So in Sankirtan, what happens? A lot of musical instruments are being played, kartal, and sometimes it is also scientifically proven that some frequencies, when somebody hears music in that particular frequency, it is very soothing. So some music, completely drains out, you'll feel tired. So these are all actually great signs which cymatics, it's the branch of science, where people are working and realizing the power of the sound vibration. So Hare Krishna Mahamantra is also one such the spiritual vibration which has the most effect when it is done properly in the association of devotees. So Sankirtan, that is the importance Prabhupada is telling. And then, yes, Prabhupada narrates a very interesting incident to project the importance of sound vibration. So Prabhupada says, about 30 or 40 years ago, a man named Orson Welles had a radio show, and just as a joke, he started giving a news report that Martians have landed and people are panicking everywhere. And this much he said. So, and then he said that the people from Mars, they have landed with their spaceships, they are going to take over Earth. So then immediately a lot of people started packing their things, they started to rush towards their cars to drive away, where they'll drive away. So then actually, this event had happened in 1968. This one radio jockey, actually there was a drama, the drama's name was The War of the Worlds. So that drama actually, because those days people used to, while work also you can listen. So the dramas in radios, they were also very popular. And when this was told, actually the glitch had happened was they forgot that this is a drama. And then as usual people thought that the sound effects, the thing, whatever, like aliens coming in, conquering this earth, taking over. So all this people thought actually this is in reality. So that sound vibration, although it was something else, it had that profound effect. So Prabhupada gives example also when some country attacks another country, they try to take over the communication channels first. So that, these communications, whatever they want, they can be told, and sometimes political parties, opposition party can be brought into power. All the things, fake things can be propagated. So actually Kali has taken this kind of communication line, so that continuously we are getting communications from Kali personification. So that is why hearing is very, very important. Instead of we getting communication from the spiritual world, which Hare Krishna mantra and all these spiritual things that are coming from the spiritual world, we ourselves, we want to connect to the material vibrations, sound vibrations. That's why we are oscillating in different frequency. So our mind-body system is getting different kinds of effects. But if we tune into this spiritual sound vibrations, then actually we can relish it. It is not just theory, practically it has been happening. And then that is why Shabda Brahma, it is called, Nama is always pure. Yes, so now interesting, we'll take another few more minutes. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because Bhagavad Gita, which is part of Mahabharata, And then after, it was like a continuation. The Srimad Bhagavatam is continuation of Mahabharata. The Bhagavata, the concepts which are what Krishna is giving in Bhagavad Gita, that is like ABC. This is a graduate study Bhagavatam. And the postgraduate study is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is the life and teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he conducted. Although teachings he gave very, very less, only 8 verses he has given. But he has given in that majority what is the importance of sound vibration, what is the potency of holy name, and then he is actually given what is the topmost effect of that holy name. He has mentioned in that particular Shikshashtaka itself. But he wanted to make another of his devotee even more famous. Who is he? Haridas Thakur. So he designated him as Namacharya. He is the authority for chanting this transcendental sound vibration, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So he wanted to listen from him. So like from Ramananda Raya also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put forth questions. He got answers from him. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Prakashananda Saraswati, like that. So this discussion also very interestingly in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antyalila chapter 3, it comes that although there are 3 stages of chanting, first stage is with offenses, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra with offenses. Second stage is Namabhasa with less offenses. And then the topmost stage is pure chanting without any offenses. So if somebody can chant offenselessly, that is exactly, in that particular frequency vibration which is intended to be chanted. So, but still, in the intermediate state, Namabhasa stage itself, what are the effects? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put this question. So, Haridas Thakur is replying, the effects of chanting in Namabhasa is that all sinful effects are destroyed and one can attain liberation from the material world and all the effects of Kali-yuga are overcome. So now, Prabhupada, when he makes this statement that everybody should transmit this Hare Krishna mantra, government should take up, it is not some random statement. Every word that is coming out of Srila Prabhupada is actually backed by Shastras. So here Namacharya, who is the authority for chanting, is telling all the effects of Kali-yuga can be mitigated. And he gives example also, just like rising of the sun. When sunrise happens, suppose 6:45 is sunrise time today. Even before that, few minutes before that, although we are not able to see the sun directly, the darkness is dissipated. So the effect of Kali can be dissipated even before the ultimate effect of chanting Hare Krishna mantra, prema, is there. So even just trying to avoid some basic offenses, the effect can be experienced by everybody. So what are those offenses? He also further actually explains. Namabhasa has got 4 stages. We chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra using sometimes Sanketa, Parihasa, Stoba and Hela. Chanting in Sanketa or indirectly means that one chants the name of Vishnu or Krishna, Vishnu Tattva, with a specific material conception, or chants the holy name unintentionally while thinking of some other object with the same sound. And he gives example of Ajamila also. Ajamila actually was trying to call his son. He never thought of Narayana. But when he called Narayana, he was actually addressing to son. The actual servants, Vishnu Duta, servants of Narayana, was sent by Narayana to protect Ajamila. So this is the effect, even unintentionally or indirectly with material motives, somebody is chanting, that will be having effect. And another example for this indirect chanting is what happened is, an example of the second type of Sanketa is the Yavana who exclaims Haram when dying. So basically, Haridas Thakur, who had born in the Mohammedan family, he is giving that example because he knows people, they use haram to call someone as abominable. So because the syllables Ha and Ram are present forming the word haram, even though it is indirectly chanted, it has the effect, some effect is there. And that some small effect itself is such great effect. So that is why, yes, so Haridas Thakur is telling, and he gives one more example also, like for example, somebody is not intending, haram he is telling, but is not actually trying to chant Ram. So because Ha and Ra, Hara, so Ram is coming in that word. And Hare Krishna mantra, if you see, similarly there are so many words, like somebody may say Krishna. Krishna is actually proper pronunciation. Krishna, somebody may say, because the beginning two letters and end Na. So it forms Krishna. So that is why the thing is actually so effective. That is why even in today's world where so much of sinful activities are going on, these are all actually working even without our own knowledge. That is why there are some possibility of favorable conditions of executing our devotional service, because these are all investment that nama namakari bhuda nija sarva shakti. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Krishna is invested in these syllables, the words, although it may look ordinary to, it may be written using the regular alphabets, but it has its own spiritual potency. The vibration, sound vibration is so important. And yes, so then he goes on to explain somebody in parihasa, joking mood also. So sometimes, children, while we walking, children, they say, hey, Hare Krishna, they say something joking. So joking, they are not intending. Although they are chanting that, they get that effect, whatever limited effect, because the word itself is powerful. And then Helana. Helana means in disregard. Shishupala, so actually he scolded Krishna. He also got effect. He got liberation by chanting, because he chanted so many times, Krishna, you are like this, you are immoral, Krishna, you are so and so like this. Every time he was using that. So it was all taken into accountable. So then that's how the effect. But if one can avoid all these offenses, and then further, it's a very wonderful long discussion. We are running out of time. We'll skip that. And then he concludes that abhasa means faint light. Abhasa means it is, so he further explains, it's a great science he is giving, that abhasa could be indirect or direct. So, and then 10 kinds of offenses which we chant every day in the morning, that has to be avoided. If that is there, and one more thing we have to be careful is Mayavadi Bhacha Shunle Hoy Sarvanas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says that. Because although the milk is good, if it is touched by the snake, then it has poisonous effects. So that is why only these two things, avoid these offenses and not maintaining material attachments. And if this Mayavadi Bhashya, if you are not listening, then nobody can stop one from getting this Krishna Prema, topmost ecstasy. So then, so mainly inattention is the offspring of all offenses. Bhaktivedanta Thakur also, he says that. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is summarizing, listen, O dear Haridasa, in the future people with evil minds will degrade, and sometimes they turn out to be sahajiyas. But those who are real devotees will understand the supreme teaching that you have given. Taking shelter of this knowledge and taking shelter of the name, they will chant the name and worship Krishna. And if these things are followed as part of sadhana, as laid down by the Guru, then one can surely get love of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that. And the jiva will attain faith in bhakti. So the most important activity is faith in the words of Guru Sadhu Shastra. And it is the Yuga Dharma of the holy name. So you are helping me accomplish this activity by describing the full truth about the holy name. So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is assuring, that we can all relish this Hare Krishna Mahamantra also. And then there are so many favorable things which our Vaishnava Acharyas like Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Lochan Das Thakur, there is a very nice composition in Nama Kirtana by Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Specifically it addresses that Kali Kukkura Kadana Jadi Chavo, Kali-yuga Pavana, Kali-bhaya Nashana, Sri Shachinandana Gao He. So it's like in Kali Kukkura, in Kali-yuga, people are fighting like dogs. Dogs, just like street dogs we see fighting. Just for small things, because the consciousness is fully affected. Everybody is frustrated, everybody is distributed. So this effect can be nashana, it can be wiped off by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra and following the footsteps of instructions of Sri Chatinandana. That means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then, Bhaja Bhaja Hari Mana Dridakari Mukhe Bolo Taranama Vrajendra Nandana Gopi Pranadhana Bhuvana Mohana Shyama. So Lochan Das Thakur also says, then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is telling, Gauranga Bhajile Gauranga Japile Dukkera Abhasare. So all the miseries one can easily overcome by chanting Nityananda Prabhu Gauranga's names, they are saying. So now a quick quiz now, that what kind of sounds are material, what kind of sounds are? Yeah, which is material, which is spiritual. We'll say, now Krishna, spiritual. Balaram, Narsimha. Now Tulsi Maharani, spiritual. Now brinjal plant, So it again depends on what utility. If somebody is offering that brinjal to Krishna, taking it as prasadam, then that has attained its actually spiritual nature, the original consciousness with which. So these theories sometimes which we come across in the material world also, they have so much significance to help us understand the spiritual aspects, of spiritual life. And we will close this with one interesting pastime of Srila Prabhupada, which happened in 22nd day in 1968 when Prabhupada was there in US there. He just started this storefront. This was the first storefront. And then, because Prabhupada is so merciful, Chief Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Mahavadanyaya, most merciful. Prabhupada is most merciful into so many times. Because mercy forcefully he gave actually. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Supreme Lord, he gave forcefully mercy to Jagai Madai, but Prabhupada gave to hundreds and thousands and lakhs of Jagai Madais. So when the class, Prabhupada is one day giving a class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the storefront Prabhupada had instructed door should not be closed. So let everybody come, anybody wants to come. And that was such a the most happening place of the hippies. So people of different kinds, people were drug addicts, they had they were drunkards, they were coming, sometimes they used to do galata, sometimes they silently sit and go. They were on a different ride, they were on a different consciousness. So but still Prabhupada never mind and he tolerated. And one day it so happened that one person comes and loudly he started actually playing radio. He was carrying radio and he started playing some some songs, some pop songs, something. So then everybody gets annoyed. What is this? This guy is trying to disturb everybody. So Prabhupada says, no, sit quiet, silent. Then Prabhupada says him, be quiet. But he further increases the volume. So then actually what happened, Kali-yuga, Kali personified, had taken the influence. He wanted to disturb Prabhupada through radio. But then Prabhupada, what he did next was amazing. Prabhupada stops in between the lecture, okay, that is okay. But that is one thing that is most powerful is Harinam Sankirtan. So Prabhupada says, let us begin Hare Krishna Sankirtan now. So moment that is done, that person actually what he does, his radio obviously could not match the volume with so many devotees filled with top of their voices chanting Hare Krishna Mantra Sankirtan. So then Sankirtan is so powerful. Prabhupada demonstrated with Sankirtan actually we can conquer Kali's influence. And then this is very nice. At the time of we passing away, somebody can do Sankirtan around us, it's good. But if the situation is different, then if nobody else is around, then we have to chant ourselves, we have to help ourselves. God will help those who help themselves. So the same effect, the greatest effect which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave through Sankirtan, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, that Sankirtan effect, we can tune in to that particular spiritual resonance frequency of that Goloka Vrindavan Dham by chanting soulfully. That is why soulful japa is very, very important for us to develop this consciousness and come out of the influence of Kali. So it can be a conduit. Just like in the tunnel, recently we saw people were stuck in tunnel, in the coal mine workers. So for them, they were in fully dark. So our situation is same. Completely Kali's influence, we are in the dark material world. So the rope is coming from the spiritual world. We should hold on. If in the dark we try to hold something that comes into our hand, that could be Kali's rope also. So you'll be taken over by Kali. So it should be very important that through years, what kind of vibrations we put in, we soulfully chant, hear with attention, and there are so many things which increases the amplitude of this spiritual resonance, and that is how the effect can be achieved, and thereby we can actually go back to Godhead. So to summarize, Prabhupada is telling that how Krishna left and Kali entered, but his influence was not there because Parikshit Maharaj was their pure devotee who was making sure that these pastimes of the Lord and holy name was getting distributed. So in today's world, people are struggling because government is inefficient processing, but government problem statement alone Prabhupada is not making. Prabhupada is giving the solution also from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, so many Vedic literature, scriptures, Vedanta sutras. So by propagating Krishna's holy name, it is actually possible to come out of the influence of the Kali. And then, so that is why this knowledge has to be spread. So that's why Prabhupada said preaching is the essence. So first is preaching to ourselves. When we preach to ourselves, we get more and more faithful, we get more and more convinced. And for what is the thing for that? For that, the conclusions of the various acharyas, we saw so many pure devotees have given. And purity is the force by following these basic regulative principles. No meat eating. Moment we break any of the principles, we are under Kali's influence. So, but if you are not breaking, we are following and chanting soulfully with quality 16 rounds of japa, then we are in the spiritual shelter. And then, so utility is the principle. So anything can be used. Prabhupada concludes that purport with anything can be used for Krishna's service that attains its original nature. It becomes spiritual. That is what Rupa Goswami. So there are so many favorable things like Jiva Goswami's disappearance day to day. And Uttarayana, starting, so Bhishma Deva passed away. So these are all special occasions which help us to, these are all actually spiritual resonances which create special vibrations, especially chanting in temple, doing more service, and book distribution. Prabhupada liked so much, stressed, because books are the basis for all these things, this knowledge, everything what we spoke, everything is there in Prabhupada's teachings. And Prabhupada's teaching is not random, and everything is rooted to the Shastras and his Guru's teachings. So if we can apply these principles in our life, then easily we can go back to home, back to Godhead, which is the only goal of human form of life. Thank you. We'll stop here. If anyone has any questions, 1 more minute we will take. It's already late. Yeah, somebody. No, yeah. You can give. So quick question. We'll close 1 moment.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, you said material sounds have their effect and spiritual vibrations have their effect. But today we see in Bollywood also they make so many songs using the holy name of the Lord, and most of the people hear to it. So what effect that has on the people in general?
So we saw that Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur only has told, either jokingly or indirectly, splitting way, just like Govinda, government Inda, suppose there is a word, the government Geo, it starts in the word ends with Inda. So the effect of Govinda is given. So that is the kind of investment holy names are having. So direct meaning, indirect meaning. So but the direct meaning, if, offensively if they are projecting something, then that is very bad. But even in that case, sometimes some people may get, what is this Hare Krishna? They will search in the internet, then Hare Krishna, nice videos will come, Soulful Japas videos will come, ISKCON temples, Nile lives. So they may get hooked on to that also. So, but yes, but it is not the best way. But in Kali-yuga, anything is okay, everything, anything. So, ena tena prakarena mana Krishne niveshayet. So, Rupa Goswami also says. So, because they have, Jiva Goswami, Shat Sandarbhas he has given us on this special occasion. He actually, instead of, Vyakarana, he has written so many books. And Shat Sandarbhas are specifically establishing on the basis of scriptures, Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojana. So what is our relationship with the God, who is God, who are we, and how to achieve our ultimate goal. And he has very important work he has done is Vyakarana also. In grammar, earlier days also, like today we have A for apple, B for ball. People used to write from the beginning, the brainwashing is happening in a different sound vibration. So he has created Vyakarana full of Krishna's holy names, because they are all great spiritual scientists, sages. So they knew the potency, A for Anantha or B for Balaram, like this. So many things he has. Every Vyakarana, 100% only through holy names. So holy name in that way, although even if it is not the best, but gradually then the holy name is so potent that although they start with material thing, we sure to end up in the spiritual thing, because holy name won't leave. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu make sure that everybody is forcefully taken to the spiritual world. So it's like that. So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.